At this point, we think it's pretty safe to say that video games are an art form. And just like any other type of art, they are subjective. One might hate, another person might love. An age-old debate when it comes to video games has been the clash between critics and players' opinions. Often what resonates with players and captivates their heart does not really align with what critics thought of a game. Throughout gaming history, numerous titles have found themselves at the center of these contrasting opinions, usually receiving lukewarm or outright negative reviews from critics, while amassing a devoted fan base who just couldn't get enough of the games. Hello and welcome to Hotfix Gaming. In today's video, we're looking into the fascinating realm of gaming's greatest divides, exploring 10 games that critics hated but players loved. These titles might not have secured critical acclaim upon their release, but their enduring popularity and passionate followings are a testament to the intricate and subjective nature of gaming experiences. From sprawling open worlds with branching narratives to uncharted territories brimming with giant bugs, these games prove that sometimes the voices of players can rise above the collective judgments of critics. So let's dive in and celebrate these underappreciated games that hold a special place in the heart of gamers, defying the odds and redefining the notion of success in the gaming industry. 1. Monster Hunter Freedom. Monster Hunter Freedom was a remaster of the first two games in the series and stands as a shining example of a game that critics didn't fully appreciate but still managed to captivate a dedicated fanbase. Upon its release, critics complained about its clunky controls, long load times, lack of compelling narrative, and its steep learning curve. In fact, the game's difficulty curve ended up being one of its defining features. Monster Hunter Freedom demanded patience, precision, and a deep understanding of each creature's behavior. As players honed their skills, conquered daunting encounters, and crafted formidable equipment, a sense of accomplishment came with each successful hunt. This sense of mastery, combined with a cooperative multiplayer aspect, forged tight-knit communities of players who would band together to take down the most formidable adversaries. Despite the initial criticisms of the game, Capcom listened to the feedback of players and continued to refine the formula, introducing new monsters, quests, and gameplay mechanics. This dedication to improving the game and further nurturing its player community further resulted in some loyal fans of the game, despite the critics' initial reviews. 2. God Hand. God Hand is a cult classic when it comes to beat-em-up games, but it didn't do well critically. Reviewers went as far as calling it an absolutely terrible game, complained about the game's dated graphics, unconventional humor, and bad combat mechanics. However, one of the defining aspects of God Hand was its unapologetic embrace of over-the-top action and irreverent humor. While critics struggled to appreciate the game's distinctive style, players found themselves loving its quirky charm and infectious energy. The game's irreverent tone, coupled with its challenging gameplay, created an addictive and engaging experience that kept players coming back for more. 3. Kirby Air Ride. Kirby Air Ride was a simple but fast-paced and fun racing game that was released in 2003 for the GameCube. Despite fans loving it, critics did not like the fact that the game only used one button and hated the somewhat steep learning curve. However, most gamers didn't see any issue with either of those complaints. Players loved the fast-paced action, the bright, colourful graphics, and accepted the fact that Kirby Air Ride is just one of those games that's easy to learn but difficult to master. And instead of hating it, they focused on mastering it. 4. Pokémon Mystery Dungeon. When it comes to spin-offs, the Pokémon franchise didn't have the most stellar ones. However, the Mystery Dungeon series has had quite a lot of success among fans. But critics did not take well to the dungeon crawler approach and considered the storyline too simplistic and predictable. They even found the gameplay loop to be monotonous and lacking in variety. Regardless of the critics' opinions, fans have really appreciated this unique take on the series, loved playing as a Pokémon, and the immersive storytelling. The spin-off series is still going strong over a decade later, which just comes to show that critics and fans' opinions are not always aligned. Number 5. Star Wars Battlefront 2. Despite facing significant criticism, Star Wars Battlefront 2 still managed to find a dedicated and passionate following among players. While critics raised valid concerns about the game's microtransaction system, progression design, and content depth, players were able to discover and appreciate the game's positive aspects that went beyond its initial flaws. Over time, the developers put in effort to address the criticisms and improve the game mechanics, as well as removing the controversial microtransactions and expanding the content, which just helped to further win over the players. The dedication to listening to the player community, introducing free content updates, and refining the gameplay experience contributed to the game's resurgence and the growth of its player base. Number 6. Spider-Man: Web of Shadows. For many fans, this was the ultimate Spider-Man game. That is, until Marvel's Spider-Man was released for the PlayStation 4 in 2018. Critics, however, didn't like it and gave it low scores because of the game's control problems, camera angles, and other bugs and glitches. While players acknowledged the control problems, they did state that the controls weren't bad enough to put them off the game and make them want to give it a low score. And where critics found the story to be mediocre at best, players praised the game's storyline. 7. Mafia 3. Mafia 3 is the type of game that players recognized it does have problems, like dated graphics, clunky controls, and outdated combat design. But despite all that, in a surprising plot twist, both critics and gamers alike agreed the game did one thing great: the story. Mafia 3 dealt with themes and subject matter that most major releases didn't dare to even think about. The cinematics and performances were amazing, full of vengeance, regret, and melodrama. The 1960s Louisiana setting, with its radical issues and the raw portrayal of its main character, make this game a thought-provoking and memorable title, despite its flaws. 8. Nier. Critics found Nier's gameplay to be repetitive, the graphics were mediocre, and complained about the fact that the game was a mixture of RPG and hack-and-slash genres. But gamers loved the strong and engaging story, which resonated with them for a long time. Many also liked the Zelda-inspired design of the game, as well as the music. In contrast, the game's sequel Nier Automata was released in 2017 and has been reviewed favorably by both critics and fans. 9. Days Gone. During the PlayStation 4 generation, this was one of Sony's most anticipated AAA exclusives, but somehow managed to get lukewarm reviews. Most critics complained that Days Gone was just a cookie-cutter open-world action game, with a generic and unremarkable sandbox, mediocre story, and a boring lead character. Despite its initial bugs and glitches, which were patched up after release, players loved the game, its story, and main character. And even though the game sold relatively well across PS4 and PC, Sony decided not to go forward with a sequel, which was disappointing for many fans of the game who were looking forward to it. We do hope they will eventually change their minds though. 10. Deadly Premonition. This game has built a massive following because of how strange, awkward, and unconventional its entire story is. Deadly Premonition is full of interesting characters that have a weird way of becoming endearing over time. However, critics didn't like the absurd writing and hilariously bad dialogue, although they admitted it was part of the game's charm. The feedback this game received was so mixed that it made it into the Guinness World Records as the most critically polarizing survival horror game. Ultimately, Deadly Premonition is one of those games where players need to invest some time before it begins getting better. What games did critics hate that you liked? Let us know your preference in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed this type of content and want to learn more fun facts about video games, make sure to subscribe to our channel and click the bell icon. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again in our next video.